Hello. Welcome to the Eddie Conversation Podcast. My name is Eddie Vigil, and I am your host. This is episode number 65, and joining me today is Martha Ruby Clark.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Of course.
You are an actor, director,
Mm-hmm.
writer, creator, filmmaker,
Editor.
editor.
I do be editing.
Okay, so we'll talk about all those things
Oh, gee.
throughout the show today, everybody. Buckle in. All right. Let's start with the basics here. We'll warm up by filling in the people at home on who Martha Ruby is. So just little. I don't know. Okay, it's always difficult to contextualize thyself. There's lots of elements in which it's like, where do we start? Do we start with the move? Like, you're not from Los Angeles, right?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
So there's the whole landing in LA and rebuilding who you are here in the pursuit on what one. We'll jump into all of that for sure. There's pre-Los Angeles life.
There's a lot of that.
There's a
more
lot
of that than there is this.
Okay. So to clarify, we introduced you as actor-director. And I know I met you specifically for more of the director side.
Yeah.
But it's my understanding that acting is the dream.
The acting is the thing that I studied and that I feel I have a grasp on. And directing is the thing that I am learning about and that I enjoy doing. And I would love to do both. But because I feel more comfortable and familiar with acting, that's like my wake up in the morning, what do I have to do? I can at least be an actor and like do that today.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that a good answer?
Okay. Kinda. That was a decent answer. I'm not here to judge your answers. So your answers are great.
I aim to please.
Okay, so you have more familiarity. Jesus, words. Familiarity with acting.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump into what is actor Martha Ruby? What's that journey?
Okay. Well, it started when I was born, really. No, I mean, I started out doing high school theater, which meant that I was doing musical theater. I hate to admit it, but I was.
It's fine.
And
we've all been. I mean, I haven't been. We've all been there.
A lot of us have.
Yeah.
So that's what I started with, and that's what I auditioned for college. But before I even made it to college, I did my first short film, and I was an actor in that, and immediately was like, oh my God, I've made a horrible mistake. I need to be doing movies. I don't want to do musical theater.
Oh.
Yeah. So
okay.
I got to college, or I tried to change my major before I even got to college, and they were like, no, you auditioned, you got in for musical theater, you have to do that for a semester at least. So I did musical theater for a semester, and then I switched to acting. And then I switched colleges completely, and I ended up at NYU.
Okay.
Fancy.
Wait, okay, so where did you go to high school? Where?
Okay,
let's
yeah.
talk geography here really quick.
So I was in Austin, Texas for high school, and that's where I did my first short film. And then I went to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia for my first year and a half of college. And then I left and I transferred to NYU, and I did 2 years there. And then that's where I graduated from.
You switched. You did a year and a half in the theater. In the theater, they told you had to do at least a semester, and you did 3.
Well, I had to do a semester of musical theater, and then I switched to acting.
Okay.
And then I was in this program that didn't really have a lot of like film acting opportunities, and I knew I was just going to move to New York after college anyway. And I was like, I'm not building a community in the place that I want to live right now. And that felt a little pointless to me. And the truth is also, a lot of people, oh God, I'm probably gonna
Already
watch
getting
this.
canceled here. I'm just kidding. No,
A lot of my experience at UArts was interesting because I found that a lot of people were not as passionate about performance as I was, and they were not necessarily excited to be in class every day. I felt a lot of people.
Sounds like college.
Yeah, I found a lot of people were complaining about the work, and I didn't really like that. And my biggest pet peeve is when people complain about their lives, but they don't do anything to change them.
Yeah.
Like, you have choices, and if you don't want to do this, do something else. And I told myself and my roommates, if I ever start complaining about this program, I'm going to leave. And I started to complain about the program.
And they held you accountable?
I was like, well, guys, you know what this means. I got to leave. I got to go somewhere else now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I texted my mom and was like, what would you say if I told you I wanted to transfer? And it was almost as if she didn't even read the first half of the sentence. And she was like, well, make your spreadsheet and, like, do it how you did when you first graduated high school and, like, get auditioning and start applying. And I was like, oh, my God, okay. And so that's how I started my transfer process, which is not the most interesting part of this story at all.
So when you thought about transferring out of the college you were at into a new one, you wanted to switch into a more film-centric program? Is that the idea, or?
Yeah, that was the idea. So I applied for NYU, Pace, and
USC.
Chapman.
Oh, okay.
Chapman, yeah.
Chapman, I've heard lots of good things about Chapman.
Yeah. I didn't get into Chapman.
Sure. I hear a lot of good things about NYU.
Yeah. And I didn't get into Pace either, but I did get into NYU. And that was interesting because that one has, like, NYU has film acting, but it is like a secondary study. You do have to do 2 years of theater first. And I was like, fine, whatever. I didn't get into any other schools that I wanted to go to, so this is it. And it was also a moment where I was like, wow, this is, like, the most expensive option. So I'm probably not going to go. I'm probably going to have to, like, do something else with my whole life. Because I was, 19, 20? I thought this was the end.
Yeah, okay.
And my mom was like, no. NYU's a great college. Like, you're going to go. And I was like, oh, my God, okay. And so that's where I ended up. And funny enough, I did 2 more years of theater, like stage acting. And then I finally finished those requirements so that I could do my screen acting stuff. And because I didn't want to spend a whole extra year and I just kind of wanted to graduate at that point because it was so expensive, I got to do 1 semester of screen acting, which is not enough. In relation to everything else that I did. Yeah.
It is interesting that they. Do you know why they ask for the long ramp of theater acting before you can switch to film? I don't quite understand.
Yeah, they call it, like, primary training and secondary training. So they have many different, like, basic acting techniques, like anything sort of Stanislavski-ian. They have little studios for all of those different techniques, and they make you do 2 years, 4 semesters of that stuff. And I think, it's like a good foundation, and it would have been super helpful if I hadn't just done 2 years-ish of stage acting training. Yeah. But, like, there's nothing wrong with just more training. So, can't complain, really.
Sure. That's great. Positive outlooks.
Yeah. It happened.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with the specificities of these foundational acting techniques. Okay. So when I hear those names, it goes right over my head for sure. Do you want to fill us in on what the quote unquote the basics are?
Yeah, I can definitely. Yes.
And then how they translate between. I'm assuming that these foundational pieces work no matter what acting you're doing. Is that why it's important to do it?
Yeah, sort of. There's definitely a transitionary moment, and definitely everyone should take films. I mean, not everyone. Some people don't need it. But I saw when I did my screen acting training that there was a lot of things that a lot of people could use or learned There's lots of stuff that lots of people learned in the transition from stage to screen and like taking their technique and putting it on camera, because there's still like changes. But basically, I'm gonna forget some of them, and people are gonna.
Sure.
But
you don't have to do every.
There's like Stanislavski is this guy, this Russian, who wrote this book about acting and like how to be an actor in this time, like when people were acting really what we would think really badly. They're really big, like not very truthful or lifelike. He sort of kind of invented naturalism in acting, and a lot of other people, Americans specifically, like met him and loved it and read his books and loved his work and kind of created their own schools of acting based off of what they resonated most from his teaching. And so like I was in the Lee Strasberg studio, and people love to talk about him because he trained like Marilyn Monroe and like he like had all these other people that I don't.
Yeah,
it's
Meryl
not
Streep
relevant to
and
me.
Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't
know. And there's also Stella Adler, and there's a fun story because Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg both try to take credit for James Dean.
Okay.
But James Dean actually hated one of. There's like a whole. They love to talk about it, but like
when you say take credit, you're more referring to the
teaching
the
of
teachings,
the acting,
not
not I don't know, his death, his suspicious death.
Right.
Then who's the guy that's in The Godfather? Al Pacino.
Okay.
Lee Strasberg taught Al Pacino. They never shut up about that kind of stuff at NYU.
Yeah, that's why we're in the biz.
Mm-hmm.
The one time you work with somebody that gets big, that's all you ever talk about for the rest of your career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's like Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, Meisner is another one that's a little weirder.
I've heard that name.
Yeah. And there's the Atlantic Studio at NYU, and he's a newer guy, I think, but he's still there. And other people.
So you kind of get a crash course on the different techniques. Is that kind of the idea?
You go for 2 years and you study one of those.
And which one did you study?
I did Lee Strasberg, which is the method. So technically, I am trained as a method actor.
Gotcha. Do you have any?
Should we talk about Jeremy Strong?
I don't know. I was just gonna ask about the exercises that you guys were put through in the 2 years that kind of maybe that you took away the most of, that might be the most useful thing versus talking about every course and activity you did for 2+ years.
What did I learn the most from? What did I like the most?
This is a classic parental like what did you learn at school today?
Yeah. I mean, I remember many times in college like being in the Strasberg studio and being like, it's okay if it doesn't work for me. I'll just put it away, and maybe someday I'll need this. And I did that a lot.
Sure.
I really liked. I mean, they taught something called relaxation, which you like sit in a chair for like hour, 2 hours, and just like relax your entire body. Which didn't really make sense to me at first, but I do like the very dedicated preparation that comes with that technique, and I think that is super helpful.
Is the idea that when I'm cast in a role and I'm prepping for the character, like you sit there with all the information in your head and that's kind of all funneling through while you're sitting, or what's the thought?
You relax your body. You sit in a because that's the first step is just like relaxing your whole body in this chair, and then the main point of Strasberg is taking personal experiences and applying them to your character, and so you want to be able to like recall actual emotions that you felt in the scenes, which is different than like Uta Hagen or anything else, because other places they want you to like, actually feel what your character is feeling in response to what the other characters are saying or doing to you. But at Strasberg, it's like, no, you're going to feel your actual true real emotions. And you come up with, like, you have, like, call them sense memories.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be, like, physical or, you know, it's all of your senses, and they all kind of help you recall memory. And those sense memories will help you recall the emotions that you felt during those memories. So, like, if in a scene, you know, someone is, like, breaking up with me and I have to be just absolutely devastated by it, I would, like, feel, like, the cold air of, like, the day that my dog died, you know, and be able to, like, recall that emotion.
Okay.
So it's kind of twisted a little. I don't love that part.
Yeah.
I don't think that you have to. Sorry to my teachers. I don't think you have to have experienced deep pain to be a good artist. And I don't think that you have to recall your actual personal trauma to be a good actor. You're pretending. It's acting. It's not real. It's okay. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see the thought on, let's say, if we're casting somebody for a project that we're looking to direct, and we're telling a specific story about this woman who is going through, like you said, a breakup with, or she's going through a divorce or something, and she's been through this like 10-year relationship, and then you're casting somebody who's never been married, or who it's like, oh wait, well, I don't know if you would lean to, I don't know how. It's like, oh, I don't know if you can actually.
There's lots of ways you could get to that point.
Sure. So you would give the benefit of the doubt on the actor and being like, okay, I don't need you to have gone through a divorce yourself to play this character. Yeah.
No,
right.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Because they've probably gone through breakups. They've probably lost friends. They've, there's other relationship instances that you can draw from.
And I think that there are other ways to like relate to characters and to like have a authentic performance that don't require like rehashing really traumatic or upsetting events that have happened to you in your life. Because when you do that, like, you're harming yourself, and or like eventually it's not going to work anymore because you've used it to up. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel that.
You gotta. They always say to respond truthfully in imaginary circumstances. I'm with them that far. I am.
Yeah, the basics. Yeah.
I just think, I believe a little bit more in like a sense of play and imagination and like, yeah.
I think about, for some reason, the vision that's going through my head right now is when an actor doesn't have kids, but they have to act as if they're kids. Yeah, like they're a parent in the thing, and you're like, this doesn't feel like you know how to handle children. But that's a little. I feel like that's probably a little bit different of a circumstance. Like I think about Daniel Radcliffe, and there's like this, The Woman in Black or something like that. Some horror movie that Daniel Radcliffe was in, like I don't know, 7 years ago. He had a kid. He had like a son, like a 4-year-old son or something, and I didn't buy it one bit.
Not one bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
Does he have kids? I don't think he has kids.
I don't think he has kids. There's like. I feel like in Strasbourg they would want you to like substitute that child for your dog or like something else that you love and cherish deeply. But I also think you could walk in and be like,
hey, Billy.
What if I had kids? Sure. How would I act if I had a kid? You can simply pretend you have a kid. I don't know. Maybe, and sometimes that's what I mean is like that works. Like that's why there's so many different types of acting styles is because different things work for different people. And like, for example, if I was to be cast as someone who, was trapped in a house fire, I never want to be. I never want. Whatever. Like the further it is away from like you and your experiences, the more you really have to use your tools that you have been given, and like that's why having a technique to fall back on is super important. Is because someday you're gonna end up in unfamiliar territory. But a lot of like the supernaturalism sort of stuff, mostly like you're gonna get cast sort of according to your age and like everyone has sort of a there's like a life path that most people follow, and there's like a lot of shared experiences, so you don't have to reach as far.
Yeah.
I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
I agree. Cool. Okay, so you went to school.
Yeah. Got a degree.
All right, you did 1 semester of film.
Yeah.
Screen.
Yeah.
Acting for the screen. Film. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah. Well, that's when I wrote and directed my first short.
Okay. Cool. I'm debating on. Okay, should we talk about? Let's talk about that.
We don't have to.
No, let's talk about it. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to remember. There's something else I want to jump back to.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to forget about it. Let's jump this. Yeah, you directed your first short.
Yeah.
During college, post college.
During college,
Okay.
It was an assignment because I kind of did like we did a lot of things in that one semester, and one of them was
that's great.
Yeah, one of them was writing, which was awesome, and I wrote and directed my first short, and that was an interesting experience because I realized that was a lot more cathartic than acting ever was for me.
The writing?
The creation of something from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I've been there.
Idea to suddenly there are other people watching this thing that came out of my head that I like had an idea of, and now it exists. Whew. That's cool.
It is cool.
That's really cool stuff.
Okay. Yes.
And that was like, I want more of this.
Okay.
So that's where that started.
Right. Okay. Well, we just glossed over the entire process of making your first short film, which I would love to jump into. You're like, so I had an idea and people watched it. I'm like, okay, well.
It wasn't good. I shot it on my iPhone.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, okay, because prior to that, you had did you do any acting on shorts or anything like that while you were going to when you were focusing on the theater side, or were you able to double dip a little bit at all?
Yeah, some stuff. Not a whole lot because I had to work a lot.
Yeah.
But there were some projects that I did do, right?
So when you went to
I don't remember.
So when you went to I'll call it produce your first short. Right.
That's basically what the class was called.
So you're producing your first short film.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, like you had never done it yourself before.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned before, there was a short that kind of sprung you into having this passion for the film side prior to jumping into college. How did you do it? Well, what was your? Jeez, I have a question. It's not coming out. Hopefully, you understood something in there.
Well, I was like, it was an assignment, so I had to write and make something, and I was like, oh gee, what should I write about?
Oh gee.
I don't know. And I sort of.
Was there any sort of like framework you were given? Like, here's a genre, here's a length of the short,
I think we probably had a length limit.
Theme.
I think it had to be less than
like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was super short. Super, super short. I want to say like 10 minutes or less.
That's not short. It's long. If 3 minutes would be 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Guys, do you remember anyone who was in that class? I don't remember.
We'll just say it's a 10-minute short. It's
yeah.
kind of ambitious, I would say, for a first
That's what
short
I'm
film.
saying it was bad.
Okay, so
maybe it was 5.
Okay, so you wrote a script.
Mm-hmm.
Did you act and direct?
No, I just directed. I wrote, directed, edited.
So did you have people in mind that you were writing for, and that all worked out?
No, I wrote about myself. This began the long journey of writing very closely to what I know.
Hence the catharsis that you experienced too.
Yes, a little bit of that too, yeah. So I just kind of wrote a little story, and thankfully, like, we could only really, I think we could cast anyone, but I was going to cast people in my class because I'd seen them act. This was like a huge brain moment for me where I was like, oh, when I make other things, I know my classmates' acting styles really well, and I know how to direct them, and I know what they're going to do, and I feel like I can make an informed decision. But so I cast based of the people in my class, and yeah, and they read the script, which was so embarrassing for me.
Like out loud for like a table read, or just handing it in general?
Just being like, now you have to read it. To act in it was embarrassing. But you get over it.
You didn't watch them read it. You watched them in person read it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You just sent it via email.
Yeah.
And you guys were in separate rooms.
But I felt embarrassed.
Okay. You're like, I'm so sorry you have to read this.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first thing I've ever done. I knew it couldn't possibly be good.
Were they nice?
Yeah, they're super nice.
Okay, great.
I'm still friends with Molly.
That's not embarrassing.
And yeah, some of it we shot in class with like a nicer camera and like sets, and then most of it I shot on my iPhone. I edited it in iMovie.
Great.
Export, file naming, all these things that we were learning in school. It was it just didn't it was really fun because I didn't know how you were supposed to make things really.
Okay, yeah.
And so I just kind of did it however I wanted to. Like I had maybe like just the smallest amount of knowledge about like how to do framing and how to direct actors. Like I had no idea how to talk to actors, and just completely going in blind and just
getting it done.
Just getting it done. Just messing around and getting it done.
No, that's great. That sounds like a proper first short out of the gate. Is objective number 1, get it done.
Yeah.
Find a way.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Frame it up.
Hit record.
Lock it in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lock it in. Lock it down. Yeah. I liked it a lot. It was very fun for me.
The directing.
Mm-hmm.
Or the full enchilada, if you will.
Well, the full enchilada. Because I really liked movies and I really liked the process, and I kind of got a little taste of everything with the like writing of something super short and filming it like myself and directing it and editing it and like all of the stuff. I was like, this is all really fun. I just get to like click clack, like no pressure.
Do you recall the screening experience?
I do.
This was in class, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that go?
Good. I mean, I remember it had a vague ending.
The short itself.
Mm-hmm. And I was just hoping people would get it. And at the end, everyone went, "Aww." And I went, "Yes, they get it." And I was really happy about that.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so it went well.
It went well, yeah.
Did you have like nerves? Or was it kind of
I was very nervous.
A lot of confidence?
No, I was very nervous because I felt as if I was exposing a part of my soul. I was bearing my soul to my classmates.
Mm-hmm.
And what if they didn't understand me, What if they didn't get it? Or they thought it was bad?
Yeah,
They would point and laugh at me, probably.
Yeah, you're being, what's the word?
Vulnerable.
Vulnerability. Yes, that's exactly the word I was thinking.
Yeah.
You're being vulnerable. Yeah, you're putting yourself out there, and if people criticize that could have you might have retired right there.
A lot of people made like silly shorts. Like,
you mean like comedic?
Yeah, they were silly.
Mm-hmm.
They were really silly, and they were so funny. And I was maybe one of the only people to do a dramatic, like, narrative short film. And so I remember watching a good amount of other people's and being like, oh, God. Oh, no. Everyone was just, like, making jokes, and I actually wrote, like, a story about my life, and it didn't have to be this deep. So that's why I was really nervous, because I was like, everyone's going to be bummed out.
Yeah.
They have to watch my stuff.
I'm glad it went well, though. Glad it worked. Glad the ending landed.
It landed.
That's great.
I was really happy. Good
Okay,
time.
so that's during that one semester at NYU. Before we jump forward, I was going to jump backwards one more time.
Okay.
I was very curious to hear about this experience you had on that one short film that changed your entire life.
Okay.
So, what can you tell us about that short, and what about the experience transcended your current view of the world?
Yeah. So that short came to be because I had a friend that I did like a theater summer camp with once upon a time. I was friends with her on Facebook. I didn't even really talk to her. And she messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I was going to be in this short, but I can't anymore. Do you want to read for it? Like, do you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I sent in a little audition to the director, and they were like, "Great, you got it." I was like, "Cool." I was like a senior in high school. I was like, "Cool." And no, I must have been yeah. And it was okay, so it was by my friend Quinn, and it's called 15 Love, and it was so cute. It was sort of Wes Anderson-y with the cinematography, and that meant that the acting styles was slightly restrained, that was the choice that I made, which I didn't make that choice. I was just kind of terrified to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And I think at the end, Quinn's mom came up to me, who she also played my mom in the short, and was like, "You did something with this character that we didn't expect, and it turned out so interesting." And I was like, "What? That is crazy." What do you mean?
How brilliant was I? Tell me again.
Yeah.
One more time, please.
No, and it was truly because I was just stiff as a board, just in front of the camera, trying to remember my lines. But it was so interesting because I could I had the script, and we were shooting scenes out of order, and I could just be like, "What scene are we doing?" and look at the lines and be like, "Okay." And I had so many costumes, and we were doing fun Wes Anderson sort of inspired insert shots of me organizing letters and stuff, and it was this cute little story of this girl who was writing letters back and forth with this guy. Well, she thought she was writing letters back and forth with one person, but it turns out that she was writing letters with another person. It's sort of Cyrano de Bergerac style. And I just had a blast on set. I had a blast getting my makeup done, and having my costumes, and just being around other people and hanging out, and it was just so much more enjoyable than plays, and it felt just like I was a superstar.
Yeah, because you were the lead in this short. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking in theater you go through costumes and makeup.
Yeah.
As well. It might be a little bit of a different process. I'm not too familiar with the theater side.
Yeah, it was. I mean, gosh, I don't even know what was so exciting about it.
Well, because it's a different environment altogether. In which, like you were saying, there's a camera there, and we're piecing stuff together in some weird jigsaw puzzle way. So you're hopping all over. You're not. Yeah, it's the process is completely different.
Completely different, and the energy was just so cool and fun, and the director was. He was so much younger than me, but I thought he was so smart, and ideas were so good. And he's still making great stuff now. And it was just magic, man. I don't know. It's so hard to describe it, because you're right. Sure. There are so many similarities, but there was just something about, maybe it was truly the fact that I was in this short with a bunch of people who went to a different high school, who lived downtown, and were all super cool. and they thought I was cool too, and they wanted me in their movie. It could have been just simply that.
Maybe.
But something about it.
Well, I imagine if the process wasn't fun, we would have had a different takeaway. But it sounds like it was a nice team. It sounds like the director was, I don't know how involved, like the whole back and forth of being like you describe yourself stiff as a board here. So, but I'm sure that
I mean, it was a really cool team, and there wasn't a lot of like a ton of direction on my part, and I think that they probably would have stopped me if they didn't like what I was doing, but I think that they were rocking with it, which was cool.
Yeah, because I could see it.
I mean, it was my first short film, and I did underwater film. I did one of those things where I like jump in the pool and the camera follows you under the water. I was like, I've never done this before, and we're going in that pool.
At NYU?
No,
or
in
this
Texas.
One?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had an action, like a follow of me like riding a bike. It was just the coolest stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
How'd the water one work? Did you jump in with like a GoPro or somebody jumped in with you?
We did one basically overhead of me like laying on the edge of the pool, and then I stand up and you can see my feet, and then I jump in, and then it cuts to there's someone under the water with me.
The camera doesn't make that transitional leap with you.
No, but like the bubble reveal.
Yeah.
Of like,
that's
now
cool.
I'm in the water.
Underwater sounds tricky.
It was freezing. It was freezing cold.
I didn't even consider your end of the side. I was like, for so camera, cool. It sounds like a tough rate. But yeah, that's right. You have to experience that water.
Yeah, and it was so much more about like stand here and like hit this mark, and because of it was so symmetrical and like so, I keep gonna say Wes Anderson again.
Yeah.
That was a aspect of telling a story that I hadn't experienced before. I mean, in theater, it's like you gotta hit your mark, you gotta find your light, but this is like you have to stand here so we can get this picture.
Can we move you a millimeter to the left, please? All right, tilt your head. Okay, now stay right there. Okay, and action.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, reset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think the shot we did the most takes of was me. There was a pair of slippers, and I grabbed the slippers out of frame. I think we did so many. That's the thing that I remember being like, do we really have to do this again? But
okay.
I didn't grab the slippers out of the frame correctly enough, so we did.
It's weird that like the simplest shots sometimes drag down everybody the most.
Yeah, but it was super cool. Shout out Quinn.
Yay, Quinn. Great work. Keep it up.
Quinn ended up at NYU. He also transferred to NYU.
While you were there.
While I was there. And I was in the dining hall just shoveling Chick-fil-A into my mouth. And this man walks up to me. And I'm like, why is this person standing so close to me? And I look up and it's Quinn. And he's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, what? He's like, I go here now. I'm like, what?
What are you doing here?
Crazy.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Small world.
And then you never talk to each other again.
I mean, truly.
No, it's cool. All right, I want to jump into okay, so we just talked about the NYU experience, the making that first short in that last semester. I want to jump to a project that you got going during the pandemic. And it's called Evie Gets a Boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's a YouTube web series.
Yeah.
The intention was 9-10-minute episodes. Did you get is that what ended up happening?
Yeah, we did 9. They ended up being anywhere from like, I think the shortest is like 7 minutes and the longest is like 15. But those are the two outliers. The average is definitely around 10.
I'm going to say that I checked out a few episodes, I remember. The question is, I tried to look it up today.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not there.
Yeah, it's mysteriously disappeared.
Where is it?
It's privated because we were submitting to festivals and we wanted to say that like, listen, Rebecca directed it. She was the one who was like, we have to make it private now. And I was like, okay.
Rebecca, you don't have to. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm literally like every other day or every other week or so. I'm like, can we take Evie off private again? But yeah, we submitted to a bunch of festivals, which is why it is privated. I'm gonna unprivate it. Honestly, probably when I go home today because I don't care anymore. We didn't get into any festivals.
Like it was submitted as a full series, or like the pilot was like the first episode was submitted, or how was that? How do you do a series submission?
That's a great question. I think for some of them we just submitted the pilot, and for some of them I think it was like the first 3 episodes. And then like you obviously give them access to watch the whole thing because we have a Vimeo page that's like password protected. But I truly was not a part of that submission sort of process. I kind of handed that off to Rebecca.
Great. Okay. So let's talk about the show.
Mm-hmm.
I will list off the stuff that I know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched the Kickstarter video in prep for the conversation. I know that this so it's primarily a show like you're Evie.
Yes, I play Evie.
And it's kind of commentary on the LA dating experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there's some like female friendship arcs and
Correct.
and there we have it. Then that's the show.
That's the show, folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's about dating and sort of this thing that happens in your 20s all the time where men will spend time with you and then not commit. We wrote it like that because it happened to Rebecca and I like 4 times each, 8 times collectively, you know? It just is always going down, and it was really easy to... Well, that's okay. We wrote it because I was dating, and I was really just, like, tired of, like, dating. I was annoyed by it, and so Rebecca said, make a spreadsheet. And I said, okay, and I made a spreadsheet, and I put all of the men that I went on dates with in this spreadsheet. And then Rebecca's like, this is really funny. We should write a show about it. And she was like, okay. And she was going to try to write a drama. And then separately, she wrote had 3 or 4 ideas for dramedy pilots that she was going to make into 30-minute pilots. And then I was like, you should write this one, but this spreadsheet dating one, we should just make. And so we were like, okay. And I was like, we can just make it. Like, we don't need anything for it. We can just write it down and do it. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And that's why we started writing it. But I did do a spreadsheet, and that's kind of how it came to be.
Great.
That's the secret.
That's the secret, everybody. Now, yeah, all right. Because when... I saw, publicly speaking, the Kickstarter raised $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And doing the math, 9 episodes, 10 minutes each, on average, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
That's 90 minutes of content for $8,000.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know in the Kickstarter video, you two are adamant about paying everybody a living wage to make the thing.
Not ourselves.
not yourself. So I guess which is great. I don't know what my question is. I guess I'm very curious because the episodes I did watch felt like it's a lot. It's like there's a lot happening. There's a lot of scenes. There's a lot of acting. There's a lot of different actors. Mm-hmm. So
tell us the truth. How did it happen?
How did it be? So many questions. Congratulations, first of all, on getting it done.
Thank you.
Humongo Jungo.
Thank you.
That's very cool. Very awesome. That's
a
huge deal. You edited a lot of it, right?
All of it.
All of it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Um, so you launch a Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have scripts ready to go for that already? All the episodes were scripted, actors attached. Let's how
No, I think we had most of it written, but we didn't have any actors when we did the Kickstarter. We sort of were Kickstartering alongside pre-pro. And then I think our goal was, well, we did the Kickstarter version where if you don't make your entire goal, everyone gets their money back and we don't
Right.
get any money.
Right.
So we had to wait, for the Kickstarter to be finished before we could cast and like actually move forward with the project, because
Yeah, it's like a month. It was a 1 month to crowdfund, and then because I've been through the Kickstarter process myself, so for the people at home, you raise the money,
yeah,
you hit your goal, great, and then you have to wait for Kickstarter to process the thing, and then like I don't know, a few weeks later,
Yeah.
you get money.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of time there.
Yeah, that
without
was
money.
kind of the time. And then when we hit our goal, which was awesome, we started casting, and we had our like budget that got us to that number. So it wasn't just like a random number, and most of the money we spent on the actors. We shot mostly in my own apartment, or in Rebecca's apartment, or in my ex-boyfriend's apartment.
Yeah, I was gonna shout out Rebecca Lynn Lofton.
Yeah,
Rebecca. Yeah.
She plays Laurel on the show. She co-wrote it with me, and she directed
Okay.
the thing.
So built in, I guess, just to recontextualize.
Let's.
You and Rebecca, creators of the show, both writers.
Mostly her.
Mostly her. You have input on it too, because
I'm the idea guy.
You're the idea guy.
The idea guy.
Okay, you're the lead actor. She's also acting in certain scenes.
Sometimes, if she
and
can.
also directing.
Yeah.
So already built in, you got kind of 2 characters built into the creative team. Great. So you got that to start, and then you start casting.
And then we start
else.
casting. So the whole thing is like shot pretty much like single cam guy by this character named Brian.
It's like a found footage show.
Yeah.
Where
mockumentary style.
Yeah, the show is in the characters in the show are trying to get Evie a boyfriend, and they're documenting so yeah. Okay.
yeah. So the character of Brian shoots the entire thing on his like skate cam, because he, we came up with some like backstory justification for that, but it's not super important. So the biggest challenge was, were we going to cast the character of Brian to like stand behind the camera while someone else shot it, or were we going to be able to find an actor who could also be our camera op?
Right.
And so we sort of put out feelers on casting websites for people who had camera experience, or like we were sort of looking for like skateboarders at least, or people who had like filmed sports before or something, so they could at least know how to follow action, because it didn't have to look amazing. It was okay if it looked like homemade, because it was supposed to look homemade, which is a big way that we cheated spending a bunch of money, I think. And then
smart.
Yeah, we found this guy Andrew Lutheran, who is a skateboarder and an actor. And he sent in the funniest, just the best audition tape, where he did like one version of the camera on him and like doing the lines from the scene that we sent out for the Brian character, and then he did another version of him behind the camera, like telling the story with the camera and like pointing it at stuff, and we were like, that's literally exactly it. Done. And that was a huge relief that we could find someone to do both.
Okay, so you ended up going with an actor that could be the camera operator.
Yeah.
And it worked out. Great.
And he shot everything. There's like a handful of things that we had someone else shoot. The scene where Coleman and Laurel are fighting in the parking lot, our AD shot that.
Okay, so it's kind of like a pickup kind of thing where
if we did, gotta give Andrew a break sometimes.
Sure. No, that's great. Okay. And then I know there's, I mean, the whole premise of the show is that Evie is going on a bunch of dates.
Yes.
So then you had to find
a bunch of guys.
all
a whole bunch of boys.
So I always think that's kind of interesting. How does that work? Being that you're casting dudes to play
my romantic interest, and it's worse than you could imagine because I had the casting account on Actors Access, so I was the casting director. It was so inappropriate, but I didn't reveal that I was Evie until I had to. You know, like until callbacks where I was
on
reading.
The Kickstarter, you specifically say that you're playing Evie.
Yeah, but I don't. How many of the thousands of men who submitted for those parts actually watched the Kickstarter video?
Probably not very many, if any.
I would say if any. Yeah.
Really?
No, I don't 0%? Think any of them did.
Nobody. Okay. Maybe.
I would love to be proven wrong, boys.
I don't know. Do guys care? Guys, write in. Comment below.
Fellas, is it gay to care?
Continue.
So then when we got to we watched a bunch of self-tapes that people sent in, which was super interesting as an actor to see the other side of what the casting website looks like. And when it came down to callbacks, we were Zooming. We did Zoom callbacks. And that is when I would be like, okay, I'm playing Evie. It's me. Hi. And then I would read with them. And then we chose from there. And yeah, it was an interesting process. There was,
Was that well received when you announced on callbacks? It was like, hey, by the way, I'm just in case it wasn't clear because we never stated it.
Yeah, because I never told you. Yeah, I mean, well, we kind of prefaced it with hi, we are the creative team behind this project. It's super low budget. We are doing many things. We are wearing a lot of different hats. We wrote it together. Rebecca's directing it. I'm editing it. Also, we're the two main characters. And nobody was mad about
sure. Okay. Yeah, it makes
to
sense.
My face,
yeah,
at
great.
least.
It's great.
A lot of people were probably because they were trying to get the part. Were that's so impressive.
Actors, am I right?
It worked. We were thank you so much.
Oh my.
So, yeah. It didn't feel weird. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm remembering all of the little callbacks that we did with people, and I remember most of the actors that we picked. I remember their self-tapes. So for one of the guys, we wanted to cast one person, but it didn't work out with them. And okay, I'm not telling this very well. So there was one character that there was a guy that we loved, but he wasn't right for it. And we were so sad that we couldn't use him. And we sent him a really long email that was we loved your tape and you're so nice and let us know, what you're working on and keep in touch. And then there was another part and the actor fell through for another part. And so we got to pull the guy that we loved into the other part and use him, which was awesome.
Nice.
Movie moments. And I'm remembering the guy who plays in the final episodes, the one who have you seen the end?
I don't recall which ones I've seen.
Anyway, it's fine. I'm remembering really funny self-tapes.
Apologies.
It's fine.
I wanted to catch up.
It's
and like I said,
offline. Yeah.
They weren't there.
Yeah, it wasn't there.
Just kidding. Okay, yeah. All right. So not to spoil the ending, but yeah, there's. Yeah.
He had a great self-tape. The guy from the end. I won't say the.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it.
Okay, so being that Rebecca, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being that Rebecca's director, but you're also helping produce. Was it a joint casting decision? Is that she was hey, I'm leaning towards these people, or was it literally you two in the same room the whole time, or?
We were in the same room most of the time.
It's got to be a funny experience. I gotta.
Oh yeah. it was so fun. We sometimes would invite. This is unprofessional.
Oh no.
Sometimes we'd invite our other girlfriends over and just like hang out with them and have a few drinks. And if we got enough drinks in us, we would open up and go through the self tapes while we were drunk.
Yeah, it happens.
Because it's just there's there.
Because there are some that stand out in like unique and interesting ways.
People make really bold choices, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I know those have floated around different sets that I've been on where the director will pull out, because I script supervise, you know, a lot, so I'm gonna hang out. Well, they'll pull out like a mom character she's auditioning, or like a dad character, and because a lot of actors are just, you know, they don't have scene partners ready to go. Like their like 7-year-old daughter will be reading off lines off camera and like cussing and stuff like during these like really heavy scenes.
That's so funny.
And it's like, why is this 7-year-old daughter saying these words, and the parent has to act as if it's another adult that they're screaming. And like it's kind of like these weird.
Oh God.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. Yeah, I mean.
So.
It was great. I mean, it was a very educational and fun experience casting.
So did you shoot each episode singularly, edit, finish, or was there like a block shooting schedule? How did
we shot in a week? All of it. All of it. Yeah.
Oh my word.
And yeah, we just did it. We sort of generally went in order. Like we did the first 3 episodes sort of simultaneously, and then the middle 3, and then the last 3.
Because you shot this before you came to Shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, we knew it was like time is money. We couldn't afford to have our actors for very long, and a lot of them were just like day players, basically.
Yeah, you had to shoot them out.
Quick. And the only people that sort of 90 minutes in a week circumstance harmed was Rebecca and I. Mostly me.
What about like AD team and stuff? What about that's, I mean, for them it's kind of that's standard work.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of. Like, again, I'm thinking about the Something Good Coming, which was the feature that you came to Shadow on for the day.
We tried to follow the rules as much as possible, like not more than, like if we ended at like a certain point at night, like you have to have 12 hours between the time that actors are let go and the time they show up.
Yeah, the turnaround times.
So we really stuck to the rules as best as possible, if not like, and also like we had a really specific shooting schedule. And we ran ahead most days.
Awesome. Yeah, it could make sense. You're not really shooting it traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like jumping in for coverage. You're just nailing takes and moving on, right?
Yeah, it was, and we did rehearsing. So like Rebecca and I blocked everything beforehand, and then we'd get the actors in and we'd rehearse it. I told Rebecca to just roll on rehearsals just in case we nail it.
Did you have a script supervisor?
Yes.
You did?
Yes. Because
that's so cool.
In rehearsal, we were word perfect, but when the camera started rolling, we were allowed to sort of like futz with it.
Yeah.
And so the script supervisor was there to make sure that the lines were continuous once we like did the improv, and we were like, that's the thing now, you say it, and we would like sort of lock it in, and she was there to make sure that was documented.
Very cool.
Yeah. She's awesome.
That's crazy. It's an awesome experience. Like that's, again, ambitious. Very, very. That's awesome. It's okay.
I can't believe we shot it all in a week.
You did. It's probably just like a blur, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's crazy.
It's fun.
My base question that I was thinking about. So, so how was it? How does it feel? But how? I don't know. I don't really. Yeah. I'm more thinking about like stuff that I did see. I did enjoy what I was seeing. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the fan footage kind of genre, if you will. And then I thought, like I couldn't quite tell, which I think is good, like scripted versus improv. I thought everybody was very naturalistic, and even watching, I know I watched a recent short. I think I watched it this morning too. It's called Marcy Ave.
Yeah.
Which we'll jump into, but I know I watched that, and I know I feel like you're really good at that naturalistic vibe of just like
Thank
being a
you.
normal person
Thank
is
you.
not easy to pull off, and like the awkward moments and like playing drunk and all that kind of stuff too.
Thank you.
I remember in Evie Gets a Boyfriend. I don't know which episode it was, but there was like some one guy you're going to see over, and you're getting a little out of hand, like. And because I remember there was this one scene that I loved a lot. I don't know if it was in the writing or how it worked, but you were sitting on this dude's lap,
Yeah.
and you're like talking to him, and he's like playing video games or something while
He's
you're
watching
talking.
a longboarding video.
Yeah, he's not even listening to you. And I thought
He like booked American Horror Story and like the new Lizzo music video now. So
yeah, I just thought it was super funny, and I'm like, I mean, it's obvious on what's going on. You're like nobody. It's just So,
yeah,
like,
I mean, most of everything was pretty scripted. I would say that everyone stayed pretty much on book except for the camera, Andrew, who plays Brian.
Yeah.
He would just randomly like say stuff, and it was always the funniest stuff, and it was like the best ad libs.
Yeah.
But most everyone else stayed on book, and also the way that I edited it. There was a lot of improv before, and then we would kind of get into the meat of the scene, and then there would be a lot of improv after.
Okay, so
sort of like getting into it.
You can kind of bookend
and
in the edit.
You want to cut in as late as possible and cut out as early as possible. So I really chopped stuff down. But the improving before and after helped because it was great, like buttons to be like joke scene.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So that helped.
I was okay. I guess to finish my thought on you sitting on the dude's lap and him watching the longboarding video, because the friends are all like you went. Evie went over with the intent on like we're just gonna drop in and we're gonna come right back out, and then
I locked everyone out.
And then everybody's trying to leave, and then your like head is in the crack of the door talking to like, and you're obviously just like drunk. I mean, I'm assuming you're not really drunk.
No.
Okay, yeah, and I was like, yeah.
No, not that day.
No. So I just remember like your face was in the crack of the door, and you're just telling like just go. I'll be right. I don't know.
Thank you.
I thought it was. I'm just like I buy this.
That was a funny scene because they wanted me to mess up my makeup really bad. And then I had to be pretty for the very next scene that we shot. So it was just a mess.
Did you have a makeup person watching out for you?
Some days my friend Lindley would come and do my makeup for me, but she wasn't available every day, so mostly me.
Okay. Yeah, I know for like a lead actor, it could be super helpful to not have to be thinking about that. But it's great that you had help.
It was usually okay because the camera was not like a standard quality camera, so it wasn't super high def. So it was all right.
Yeah, I'm sure it was fine.
Didn't really matter.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
nice.
It was a really fun experience. It was a lot. Like my apartment was home based, so like everyone would leave. I would like get ready for bed, like try to do preparation for the next day, go to sleep, wake up, and like Rebecca would be in my house, and I'd be like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
Sort of just barreling through it, but
yeah, for sure. You got to do
it
what it takes.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
To finish off this topic here, what can you say about once it was done, you started putting it out and releasing it and posting about it and stuff. I guess question one, how quick was the turnaround, and then what was the plan or expectations for when you're putting it out? Because I know on the Kickstarter it was plainly vocalized that the intention here is to put it out for free on YouTube, and we're just trying to make something. We're trying to add some positivity and fun to the crazy world that we're currently in.
Yeah.
So, were there any expectations beyond that, or how did it go? I'm just gonna keep saying this.
Yeah. The turnaround, well, we shot it in March. I think we started dropping episodes.
March 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
March 2021. I think we started dropping episodes in like August, I want to say.
6
I
months?
honestly don't remember.
5 months?
Yeah. And
Okay. So
that was just me. That was, just as long as it took for me to do it, it was done.
And you were going episode to episode, locking them in, getting notes from Rebecca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had to the next one kind of thing.
Yeah, I would do like rough cuts and send them her way and like tighten up screws and sort of waterfall down the way until we would watch the whole series back to back together to make sure that it all still made sense. And at a certain point, then we audio mixed it, which we had an audio guy for, thank God. And I sent it to Rebecca to watch all the way through to make sure there were no audio mistakes. And I had to tell her, you are no longer allowed to give me editing notes. These are done. These episodes are finished now.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of like turn her off because she can keep going forever.
You can tweak forever in post.
Yeah, you can.
Literally.
Yeah. Literally. And I was done. I was like, I can't look at my face anymore. Like, that's the thing. I had to edit myself for 5 months. And I was like, it's over. Make sure that nothing sounds bad. And, like, literally close your eyes. You can't look at it anymore. Just listen. And then, yeah, there was no real expectations. I mean, we obviously threw it into some festivals, which went really well for us. And I don't think we were planning on, I mean, if it went viral, yeah, we'd probably throw some monetization on that, but it didn't. It's just, our buddies watching it, which is great. We did some sort of guerrilla marketing where we made posters of my face and that said, "Do you want to date her?" with a QR code that linked to the first episode, which is why if you look when they go back up, you'll see that the first episode has so many more views than all of the rest of the episodes.
Nice.
And I was talking to my dad about that because I was like, everyone watched the first one, but nobody wanted to keep watching him. And he's like, well, people make a call. And I was like, thanks, Dad.
It's like,
Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Appreciate it. Okay, no, it's okay. So some little guerrilla marketing technique. I dig that. Okay.
Someone came. So I work at a restaurant, and someone came into the restaurant once and was like, "You're friends with Rebecca. You were in that web series, weren't you?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes." And also because of the posters, somebody liked me on Hinge and was like, "You're that girl from that web series that had posters all over Sunset." And I literally was like, "Oh my God, that is insane." Yes, I am.
Oh my God. Yes. Are we going on a date or what?
Yeah. I was like, "Did you watch it?" He was like, "Yeah."
Did you like it?
Like, "Did you tell your friends about it?"
If not, please do.
Please do. Also Venmo me $5. I don't know.
Venmo me
It's
$5.
the ticket price.
$5.
Yeah.
Can't even get a Starbucks with that.
No, you couldn't.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so you did a 1 episode a week rollout. Was that the idea?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fridays. Right? Yeah.
Cool.
It was fun.
All right.
It was fun. It was a good time. I think that we're going to make some like fake laurels to put on the poster that say "Nobody wanted us."
Oh my.
Because that sort of is in line with the
the trying to date the whole commentary.
Yeah, it's in line with like the what is it? What is the word that I'm thinking of? Tone.
Okay.
The tone of the show, the subject matter of the show. It would be really funny if we were like, "Sorry, it went private. We're back. No one wanted us."
Oh my word.
It would be good.
Drover Productions.
Mm-hmm.
Marcy Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Black and White.
Yeah.
New York City.
Gritty.
You say gritty?
Yeah. It's gritty.
First of all, Drover Productions. Is this your production company with Rebecca? Was this also what Evie was under too, or was Drover? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this short was put out 8 months ago now, I think is what it said on the YouTubes.
Marcy came out, I don't know when it debuted, but we shot it January 2019.
Okay.
Wait, January 2020.
Pre-pandemic. Okay.
I think Rebecca sat on it for a long time, and I was like, put that on the internet now.
Edit? Yeah, you're like, I'll edit it.
I didn't. She actually edited that one, thank God.
Nice. Okay, so that one was shot in New York City.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. That's where I lived at the time. I lived in Bushwick. So she came to visit me.
There's an answering machine involved in this story.
Yes.
What time period does this take place?
This is 1999.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Dig.
Yeah.
Sounds like an answering machine.
I think there was a monologue that talks about Y2K that was cut.
I just thought it was a vintage.
She just broke.
I was like, some people
are weird like that.
Yeah, it's like, I just want a rotary phone for fun.
Yeah. Well, so Marcy was interesting because Rebecca wrote it. It was something she wrote and shot in college and then made some script edits and then reshot it with me. And I was just a producer actor on that. I directed like one scene. The scene that Rebecca is in, and so she's not behind the camera. I directed that one. Nice. And then but mostly just producing. I was like we had to get many locations. I was like scoping out bus stops. I figured out how to shoot in the pool, which was the Williamsburg pool, which you're not allowed to film in. So we shot that on an iPhone, really sort of sneakily.
Nice. Yeah, there's some guerrilla filmmaking in there for sure.
Yeah. So that was before Evie. So that was mostly just like, she wasn't in New York and I was, and like organizing, and we got a DP for that. And so he had friends in New York, so he knew like where to get all of his equipment that he needed to make everything look nice. He had his little camera rig, and he was my friend, so we all just crashed in my apartment and made a little movie.
Yeah, because there's some scenes that incorporate it feels like a decently sized cast all at once and stuff. Yeah. So it seems like it took some coordinating. It took
that. I cast that movie by myself, sort of. I was like, here are your options, Rebecca, pick one, but those are mostly my classmates.
Okay. Makes sense.
Those are all my classmates.
Yeah.
Or peers. I'll just say peers because some of them I didn't go to school with, but and that was like that inkling of when I made my short in college and was like, I know how my classmates act, and like I know I can make a really well-informed decision on like casting. I immediately graduated and was like, I'm casting a short film. So
yeah, and I felt like there was a lot of, because I hadn't seen this one until like this morning. I felt like there was a lot of parallels between that short and kind of Evie as well. It's the same creative team. It's very relationship based and that sort of stuff. So I was like, oh, it's tonally it feels. It's not it's not in the same comedic vein, but thematically speaking, there's some overlap in there.
Well, Rebecca and I create really our sort of MO is to just write, stories for women, by women, about women. And we also like to stick to what we know really, really well. And, we're both young. There's only so much we know about. And a lot of it is about boys.
Sure.
And so I think that's part of it. Marcy, I think, mostly came from the idea that Rebecca really loves rom-coms. Like, she loves You've Got Mail and, like, all the Meg Ryan stuff. Nora Ephron and all of that good stuff. And so this was kind of her taking her hand, trying her hand at making a rom-com.
That's like taking her hand in marriage.
And then I think by plugging me into it, it became very melancholy.
You're like, all right, we're gonna make this sad.
Yeah.
We're gonna make this sad and black and white.
She's depressed now. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's great. I think that's
So I think they do feed into each other a little bit for sure.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Before I jump into some additional questions, I do recall I almost forgot. I asked you to potentially develop some questions too. Do you want to ask one? I think we have time for. I don't know what you got cooking over there.
Let's see what I got cooking. Okay.
This is for me. This is a question for, or this maybe potentially conversation topic, or I don't know. I mean,
I was gonna talk to you about, I was gonna move towards the future.
Yeah, I was gonna jump. Yeah.
I was gonna talk about goal. Like, what's your, what is the, what is?
I was gonna ask you that. Okay, go
what
on.
are your goals?
You're asking me? What's the question?
Like, in what it would be your, like, what right now is your dream project?
Asking questions is hard. See?
Dream house, dream project, what is it for you? What do you mean I'm great at this?
Okay, let me tell a story.
Okay.
When I first moved to Los Angeles in 2019, I had lunch with some like producer dude guy that vocalized at some sort of networking event that he's happy to have lunch with, filmmakers and help solve problems and that sort of stuff. He's like been a part of a lot of like award-winning movies and big budget movies, and he's got quite the portfolio, if you will. So I'm like, dude, I want to have lunch with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent lunch talking about that question.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, dude, step one, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
Let's figure that out first.
Yeah.
And because without that more specific bullet down the line, you don't really know how to make decisions to help get you there.
Totally.
So I know at the end of that lunch, and I've kind of stuck with it. It's kind of like a 5-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
The dream is to direct
a movie
for Marvel Studios.
Okay, there you go.
I would, at this point, Disney Plus was not a thing back then.
Yeah.
So, I would take a Disney Plus show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of, probably a lot. It feels like there's more
opportunity, just content.
Or flexibility on that side too.
Yeah.
Maybe less pressure.
That feels like a Disney Plus show feels like a great stepping stone to a Marvel.
Yeah, I know. I don't know them personally, but I am more familiar with the indie filmmakers getting scooped up for those shows. They're definitely ones that have like directed a few indie features that got some traction at like Sundance, or like they're pulling people and letting them do 3 episodes of the 6.
Well, they got so many things that they need directed too.
So that's my short professional answer.
I love that. Do you want to own property in Los Angeles someday?
I don't care about that.
Okay.
That seems like I think about property. Like I feel like if I was gonna buy something, I don't feel like I would buy it here.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially with the way the world is kind of moving, especially like through.
You don't want to end up in the ocean.
Well, I was thinking more the advances in technology via the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Like it's more common to have meetings over Zoom or over video stuff. You don't necessarily have to be in the city for everything.
Wouldn't be a deal breaker for as many things.
Yeah, especially if you're directing for Marvel.
You're not shooting in LA.
Yeah, you'll fly. They'll fly you in from wherever. Like it doesn't matter where you are.
True.
Taika doesn't have to live in LA to.
No.
I think he does. I don't know where he lives.
With Rita Ora somewhere.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe once I'm that's. I'd love to have the option, but I don't.
Do you have
I don't like living in Los Angeles too much.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. in this, if Marvel movie directing is the end goal, or at the end of the 5 years, which are you not gonna be picky about what, if you could pick a superhero or a, which one would you want to direct?
I know that's a common follow-up question to when I
Certainly.
mention that. I'm always like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I do mention that my favorite, I am a big fan of Thor.
Yeah.
Taika's doing a great job with him, it seems like.
He is.
A untapped superhero that I feel like lives in my kind of, because I mean, I'm trying to develop my more like quirky, awkward comedy, indie vibe. Voice.
Yeah.
And I feel like a character that fits well with that. Don't take my ideas, people. It's not even my original idea.
Pending.
Is bringing there's this superhero called Squirrel Girl. And she's got like a ragtag weird team that kind of
right
hangs
up
out
my
with her.
alley.
Squirrel Girl. Are we shaking on? You want to be Squirrel Girl?
I'd love to. That sounds awesome.
She has it's
big old teeth.
She's got a big old tail, squirrel tail that sticks out of her costume.
I love that for balance.
She's also very strong. At some point, she acquires like a flying squirrel suit, so she can kind of like Spider-Man-esque. Spider-Man has those little lame little wings in there,
like the new Batman suit.
No, Batman's always done his gliding.
Yeah, but he had the like base jumping thing in the most recent movie. He looked really dumb.
And then like Squirrel Girl is like had like one-on-one fights with the Hulk and beat him, like that sort of stuff. So she has a lot of potential there.
I mean, they're making a She-Hulk movie.
Disney Plus show. They just released the trailer. I watched it.
I wanted to be her, but I didn't. Nobody reached out. So.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Is the show very quirky?
It's gonna be great.
Looks fun.
Isn't it Jamila Al-Jamil? I don't know who it is.
I don't know who it is either.
Anyway.
But yeah,
that's exciting.
Marvel Life. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the collaboration. Yeah. It's a tricky field because they have so much going on. Like, I don't know if you watched the new Doctor Strange movie, but like it's kind of a little bit of a mess. Feels like it kind of collapsed under the weight of the universe, if you will. Where it's like,
I don't really watch.
Well, I'll just give an example. So.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not only a sequel to Doctor Strange, the first movie. It's also a sequel to like the WandaVision show because Wanda's in it, and it's also a sequel
to the Loki.
Yeah, a little bit of Loki kind of vibes are in there, and then there's also like just the overall like Avengers Endgame consequences too, or Spider-Man. The latest Spider-Man movie had Doctor Strange, so you're taking Doctor Strange from there, here, Wanda from here. You gotta account for all those narratives.
That's a lot.
Introduce this person, and somehow come out with a movie that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it didn't quite work.
They should have just split it up into 2 parts.
Or they could have brought me. I'm just kidding. So yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, that's my dream.
Well, if I ever hear anything. I'll point them your way.
If you get wind of a Squirrel Girl in development,
I'll shut them down real fast.
They're looking for some writers or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you see your dream? Same question right back at you.
Right back at me. I mean, I sort of agree in the sense that less of like you got to know how to get there, but more of I'm not really sure where I want to go, but I do know what's next. I mean, I do want to own property in LA, so I want to be working in this field of making movies, preferably as an actor or a director, and make enough money to buy a home.
So you're working as an actor to afford to buy a home here.
You heard that right. You heard that right. Yeah, that's why I've picked up directing on the side. because I'm smart.
Okay, so you enjoy living in Los Angeles.
I do.
What part of LA do you live currently?
Silver Lake.
Where do you want to buy home? Where would you want to ideally have a home?
I don't really care. I want to just be able to look and see the mountains.
Any mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you're complimenting the view of mountains
I
from
like
Burbank here.
Big Rock. It's really hard to ignore big rocks, and I like.
I grew up in valleys, so surrounded by mountains. So that
I grew up in Texas. We don't have mountains there.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because I mean, I know some people enjoy, being close to the beach, some beach access, living in Venice, or whatever.
I would rather be closer to the mountain.
You'd rather be mountainside.
To look at it at least.
Okay, so you're flexible on where this property ends up.
Yeah. Being, yeah.
Great, yeah.
But, in the area by the mountain. But, yeah. The mountain.
Okay. What about the acting? What about the acting specific dream?
Yeah. I would love to be in a Star Wars movie. I would say yes to that immediately.
Disney Plus Star Wars or the movie? Because I know a lot of people are enjoying the Disney
the
Plus,
shows,
like the Mando and that sort of stuff.
I mean, dream big, and you will land shoot for the moon, and you will land among the stars. I would love to be in a Star Wars trilogy. You think about all of the Star Wars ladies. They are brunettes with round ass faces. So I'm saying,
deal.
if you let me expense a personal trainer, I'm gonna be excellent.
Yeah.
Get really ripped and swing around some sticks. Yes, please.
Sounds like Marvel as well.
I would love to. Yeah.
Squirrel Girl. Yeah.
Squirrel Girl for sure. And then, but I think it would be really fun if they have this little brunette small heroine thing that they've got going for them. But what if she was evil?
Oh.
What if she was actually?
They kind of teased that in the most recent feature.
I know.
That didn't go off very well, I don't think.
Well, I don't know.
And Squirrel Girl, it's kind of hard to say. Squirrel Girl. I do want to clarify that we will be giving you big kind of squirrel
giant teeth,
yeah. Just the two, the classic two big.
Alvin and the Chipmunk style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure
sure that was clear. It was expected.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say yes to a Star Wars movie. I think that is a dream. But I feel I have a lot of dreams. I have not narrowed them down yet. I do ultimately want to win an Oscar. That's another big dream.
You want to win an Oscar?
Yeah. Which I know is not something you're supposed to want, but I do. I want it.
You want an Oscar?
Yeah.
Copy that. Squirrel Girl will also be nominated first time ever.
I know. I'm going to say that. I've said it out loud and people are going to watch it and I'm never going to win an Oscar. It's going to be embarrassing.
Just to clarify, most people haven't won Oscars.
I know. Yeah.
So it's not embarrassing.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say something. I forgot.
Do you want to know what I'm working on next?
I remember what I was going to say. Yes, I do want to know.
Okay.
But let me say the thing before I forget.
Sure.
Because something that people say to me a lot, which I get frustrated about, but I think it's accurate too, is hey, Eddie, when you make something, shouldn't that be some sort of semblance of what you're putting out into the world as what you want to do more of?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I mentioned Marvel, they're well, shouldn't you be you don't have any action scene, you don't have any action scenes in your reel, you don't know how to direct action. And I'm you understand that Marvel is a giant thing, that they have stunt teams that go from movie to movie and assist these directors, and there's people for that. I'm there to inject the story and the tone across the scene and help elevate the thing, but
making the fight scenes tell the story.
But I don't need to be a stunt coordinator in order to or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yes and no.
So when thinking about, let's say when you produce your own work to showcase yourself as an actor, that in a way, I guess that's kind of like the basis that I've had is like, all right, I wonder if these are the type of roles that you want to be doing more of in the future, just like larger scale, or like, or if again, like, I could give the same question back, like, oh, maybe do like a Star Wars fan fiction, and then J.J. Abrams will see
that I'm so good,
and then J.J. Abrams will see your stunt coordinator abilities.
Yeah,
showcase. Yeah, because
I think it's just like that would I
it's kind of fun too, actually. But, yeah.
I'm like those were. I think I'm also at a point where I'm being asked a lot, like what the end goal is, and I used to know what I wanted the end goal to be, but I'm not quite so sure anymore.
What was your old answer?
I mean, I still have my old answer because I'm not really sure what the new answer
Star Wars?
is. Yeah.
Or the house by the mountains?
Both.
House in the hills.
Both.
No, the hills is different than the mountains.
Yeah. Both. I think both. I mean, I am sort of figuring out which direction I'm going to go, because I think that, like, especially as an actor, like, you think that you're this type of actor and like these types of parts are perfect for you, and then you get older and you're like, oh no, that's not true at all. Like, this is the kind of actor that I am. And it also comes hand in hand with like growing up and realizing what kind of a person you are and like who you are as a person, because I graduated college and then got stuck in a pandemic, so it's really just kind of trying to, those two things are going hand in hand. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, finding yourself
and finding how your work expresses who you are.
Heavily influences kind of everything.
Yeah. So I'm figuring it out, but I'm feeling confident in the direction that I'm heading.
So what are you working on next?
So Rebecca and I are working on, we have a feature film that we are doing next. We're not going to shoot it in a week. I hope.
Yeah. Ideally, you have more time than that.
Yeah. And we finished the script, and we are trying to get some money for it. And we're going to try not to crowdfund this time because
Understood.
It blows. And yeah, we're looking at trying to find some producers and stuff, and like, navigating what that looks like, and it's going to be great. Do you want to know what it's about? It's my podcast now.
Yeah, please.
It is she's much better at this than I am. It's basically about, it's like a one night, kind of before sunset-esque, shithouse-esque, like romp through the city of LA with two of the worst people you've ever met in your life. This like nepotism baby director's daughter who has a house in the hills and like gets kind of everything handed to her on a silver platter, but like really wants to earn, her, like, she wants to feel like she's earned it, but she will never have to earn it. And this like straight white male sort of thinks he deserves to be a director because he's got great ideas, and is like works for her father, and they sort of link up and cause problems.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it all takes place in a single night. Is the story. So the script is done, and it's still the early phases. Sounds like How recent was how long has the script been in the ether, in the baking oven?
I think about at least a year, right? Because I was in my old apartment when I came up with the idea, because I'm the idea guy.
Yeah. So this sounds like this started getting cooking around after you wrapped.
I think honestly we came up with the idea for it before, either right after we wrapped Evie or right before we started shooting Evie. And Rebecca was like, pin that. We don't have time for it now.
It's like I know we're about to jump into production on our dream project here, but hear me out. I have a better idea.
Brain blast moment. Yeah, it was about that time, and then we really struggled with the writing of this, but we figured it out.
Cool. So the intention is the same dynamic, the same you and Rebecca in the same positions. You're acting as the entitled.
Carolyn.
Well,
her name's
not
Carolyn.
Entitled.
No, yeah.
You described her as
she's
been handed. What's the word that you used? Because she's trying not to be entitled.
Yeah, she's definitely
the
eager.
Guy's entitled.
Yeah, he's entitled. She's been. What did I say? I blacked out.
Well, I mean, what I took away was that she's been handed everything that she needed. She hasn't really had to try in life.
But she desperately wants to earn.
And for some reason, right now, something's changed, and she feels like she needs to earn her life, and she's doing so by partnering up
with her father's employee,
which he doesn't sound like he's the type of person she should be partnering up with. We'll see how that plays, everybody.
It doesn't end well. I'll tell you that. That's not even a spoiler.
Spoiler. No, great. That's how we want it to go. Crazy, yeah. Nice.
It's exciting. It's sort of surrealist in some points and like weird and fun. You're gonna love to hate them.
Probably a shroom sequence in there somewhere. I gotta imagine. I don't know. It feels like that type of movie. Kind of hangover-esque.
Yeah, sorta. There's a lot of drinking.
Of course.
It's like if the characters in Succession lived in LA and were 20 years younger.
There we go. You're gonna have this. You're gonna have the snap zooms too. A lot of the.
Yeah.
That's what I think of Succession.
Snap zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, hopefully none of that.
Do it.
That's the next thing.
Great. Great. Yes. Lovely.
Thank you for having me.
I think that's the show.
I think so. It feels like a natural end.
I think so. Last question. For people that want to follow along on the journeys of where do people find you? Where can they keep in the loop?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Martha Ruby Clark. And that's it.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, follow Martha Ruby Clark there.
Instagram's better than Twitter. I don't really tweet very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I went to Twitter, I saw that you again, please unprivate it. I want to go watch the show.
Do I have a link to it on my
link.
Twitter?
You're like full playlist at link, and then I click on it. It's like this is no longer available.
Yeah, I never.
And then I cried, and I was like, I
Twitter.
wonder. And now we know. Great. Yeah. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for chatting.
Thanks for having me.
For sure.
My first ever podcast moment.
You did great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Had a blast.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bum, 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 bum.